Well, hello, and welcome to Stop, Let's Team Up, My Legion Adventure, episode 55. 5, 2 fives. Wow, because that's apropos, because we are going to be discussing the first appearance of the Fatal Five. I think that's it's a good omen, numerology. I don't know what that shit is. But we're going to be talking about Adventure Comics 352 and 353. We're running it through some great comics, just a lot of good stuff coming out one after another, and these are as good as last week's, but last week's like one of my favorites. This is one of the greats too. So let's just get into this because it's amazing. So Adventure Comics 352, cover date January 1967, cover credits Kurt Swan, George Klein, Gaspar Saladino. The story is called The Fatal Five. It is 19 pages. Part 1 is called To Save a Galaxy. Part 2 is called An SOS to Evil. Plotter, editor, Mort Weisinger. Plotter, scripter, penciler, layouts only, Jim Shooter. Penciler, inker, George Klein. Woohoo. Letter Mills Snappin. Roll call, Cosmic Boy, Princess Projector, Ferro Lad, Sun Boy, Superboy. Villains that are introduced here, Tarak, Validus, the Emerald Empress, Mano, the Persuader, and the Sun Eater. And there's a Renegade Controller also. This is a big deal. The controllers come back later. A lot of craziness. There's so much going on that we've seen the introduction of Universo, Regulus. We had the return of Starboy and Dream Girl. Now we're getting the let's go back further. The introduction of Karate Kid, Princess Projector, Ferro Lad. And now we're getting the Fatal Five. I mean, between Jim Shooter is just piling on firsts. And these stories are just, if you're not a fan of Silver Age comics, I get it. This was written, I was a baby, but my brother turned me on to it and I like it, but it's not the comics. I'm a child of the 70s comics, 1972 and on to the 90s, to the 80s and then back in the 90s. But these are amazing and you gotta read them. I cannot say that enough. So let me stop gushing about that for 2.5 minutes. Let's do the synopsis of the first issue. At the Legion Clubhouse, Superboy, Cosmic Boy, Sunboy, Princess Projector, and Ferro Lad, the Legionnaires on duty, study a film of the Fatal Five, a collection of Galaxy's deadliest villains. They include the Persuader, an extortionist who wields an atomic axe that can slice through anything, including energy. Tarak, a criminal whose half-human, half-robot body gives him immeasurable intelligence. The Emerald Empress, whose Emerald Eye of Akron? No, that's in Ohio. Does whatever she wills it to do. Validus, a gargantuan being with super strength and the ability to project lightning from his head. And Mano, a mutant with the glowing disc on his right hand which enables him to destroy anything he touches. Word reaches the heroes that the dreaded Sun Eater is approaching Earth. The Sun Eater is a huge cloud-like being that wanders through the universe and devours suns by wrapping itself around them, leaving them cold, dark husks, incapable of supporting life. Because their teammates are on a mission in Dimension QK51, the 5 Legionnaires try to summon other heroes in the galaxy to help them in the emergency, but to no avail. In desperation, they decide to ask the Fatal Five for assistance against the Sun Eater, since they too are menaced. Cosmic Boy recruits Tarak, Superboy persuades the Emerald Empress to come, Sunboy is dispatched to bring back Validus, and Princess Projector contacts the Persuader, and Ferro Lad returns with Mano. It's a really good comic. I'm glad for these synopsises because I would do such a frickin' terrible job doing them. And I don't want them to be too short. But we're going to go through this comic. Lovely. The splash page inside, I really wish comics did this. Really do. I say it every week. It says Tales of Legion, and then it's The Fatal Five, Part 1. Meet the Fatal Five, vitalest, most powerful collection of villains in the annals of time, at whose very mention the universe quails. Quails? Okay. Quails. Look, like a real battle royale for the Legion, huh? Yes, but not against the warlords of wickedness. No, sir. The super teams are teaming up with 5 fiends in a 10-man stand to save the galaxy. And then it has a little roll call box. It's got the 2 sides facing off. Wonderful. I mean, it's just, Kurt Swan is a genius. Okay, the second page is this little beat up early warning station, number 156. And it's just floating out there in the galaxy, and it looks wonderful. Swan's it's stunning. It's an info dump, and it's stunning. It's just a wonderful thing with the astronaut and the fear in his face, and it's just neat. It reminds me of seeing him in the first episode of Doctor Who, Jodie Foster's last full season. The Flux, one of the characters, is on this space station, and this scene kind of reminds me of that. So, but that's a tangent. But then again, then we get to start. We're watching the 5 Legionnaires watching videos of the origin of all the Fatal 5, and they're sitting with it's silly Silver Age stuff. They see the Persuaders, and then it cuts to the 4 of them: Projector, Ferro Lad, Cosmic Boy, and they're watching. And Ferro Lad goes, "It was nice of the science police to send us this documentary film on the villains popularly called the Fatal 5. Cosmic Boy goes, "Yes, this is no Hollywood premiere, Ferro Lad. We're supposed to bone up on these baddies in case we ever have a run-in with one of them." "Cut the comment, Cosmic Boy. Here's to rat number 2, says Superboy. And then that's Derek. We see his origin. He gets half his body zapped, but the people on his planet are so nice they won't let anybody die. They don't like dying. So he's half robot, half criminal, so he's super smart. Then there's Sarya, the Emerald Empress of the planet Vengar, and the most wanted female criminal. She is such a good villain, and it's her with her kryptonite belt. It's a jewel belt, but it's like kryptonite, and showing her find the eye. Her people are chasing her out, her becoming a thief. Then there's Validus, and he's not really evil. He's just destructive and scared and out of place. And he's locked up in a prison on Bismari in a cell he can't get out of. And then there's Mano, who was born with this disc on his hand from a very polluted planet called Agnust. I think it's Agnust. Angtus. Agnes. That's my aunt's name. But he's a freak, and he gets mad, so he touches his planet, it blows up, and then he becomes a hitman. Did I miss any? No, that's all 5. And then Superboy sends everybody home to get a little shut-eye. And during that, Superboy gets a phone call from the UP Inner Council, and he summons back the 5 Legionnaires, and he says, "It's coming." So, there's a panel where Cosmic Boy goes, "Superboy, don't make jokes like that. It is a joke, isn't it? Great galaxies. I mean, we have to stop it. Wait a minute. What is this you're all hepped up about?" says Ferro Lad. "Oh, I forgot. You're new to Legionnaires. You don't know, but I'll explain it." And then he tells the history of the Sun Eater, and we see what it has done in other parts, and that has gone past that station. So then they spend a few pages trying to recruit heroes, but no one wants to come, and that's when they come up with Superboy comes up with the idea of using the Fatal 5. Or no, I think it's kind of Cosmic Boy. They all do it. And that's the end of part 1. Then part 2 is called SOS to Evil. And then the different Legionnaires go and do their recruiting. Cosmic Boy frees Tarak. Superboy saves Emerald Empress from being burnt at the stake. Sunboy goes into Validus' cell and calms him down and lets him know they're friends, so he agrees to come with him, which is cool because then he just sits there like a big puppy dog in the spaceship as they fly off. Princess Projecta goes to a rocky ledge on the 12th moon of Jupiter, and she's watching the Persuaders shake down the Governor General of Jupiter, and she uses her powers to trick him, but he figures it out. And then there's the last one is Ferro Lad and Mano, and these people are going to chop off his hand. Space police, not science police, this is space police, have captured him. They're using a space skeleton with rockets on the blade shooting down. I guess they have him in space so he can't blow up his the planet by touching it, and they're just going to cut off his hand. But if they do that in space, he'll die. Ferro Lad saves him, and then he convinces the space police to give Mano over to him, and they fly off. And then there's this great final panel, and I posted it just a few minutes ago on the interwebs, or at least on Twitter. It'll go up soon on the other sites. But it says, next issue, the Legionnaires and their evil allies face the most terrifying menace of all time. A titanic battle that rocks the universe. Don't miss Conquest or Death. Now on to Adventure Comics 353. Cover credits, Kurt Swan, George Klein, Ira Shop. Story is called The Doomed Legionnaire. Part 2 of that said story is called Slain by the Sun Eater. It's a 23-page masterpiece. Same credits as last time. Editor, plotter, Mort Weisinger. Plotter, scripter, penciler, layouts only. Jim Shooter. Penciler, Kurt Swan. Woohoo. Inker, George Klein. Woohoo. Letter, Milton Snapton. Roll call. It's the same, basically the same 5, but there are other people here because of the ending, so I'm going to read all of them. Cosmic Boy, Santa Girl, Dual Damsel, Sun Boy, Light Lass, Lightning Lad, Chameleon Boy, Colossal Boy, Brainiac 5, Shrinking Violet, Superboy, Mon-El, Element Lad, Princess Projecta, Invisible Kid, and Ferro Lad. The villains, the Fatal 5, and the Sun Eater, and the Renegade Controller. And this synopsis is a little longer, but let's just get to it. The 5 Legionnaires gather with the 5 villains on Terak's ship. That night, Mano visits the Emerald Empress in her room to suggest treachery. She refuses and tosses him out with her emerald eye. She then proposes the same scheme to Superboy and produces green kryptonite to persuade him. But Cosmic Boy appears and the kryptonite is hidden as he summons them to Terak's conference room. There, Terak announces his scheme to destroy the Sun Eater. Sunboy will lure it to one side with his power, and the Crusader will divide it into 8 sections with his axe, and the others each will destroy one of those sections. As even their combined might is insufficient to battle the creature, Terak treats them with the intensifier, which temporarily increases their abilities. Unknown to the others, Validus's cabinet is specially wired so he can be put under Terak's mental control. The next morning, the plan goes into effect as Sunboy lures the Sun Eater into their trap, and with his increased power, the Persuader's atomic axe slices the Sun Eater into 8 segments. Validus wades into the cloudy mass of his section, but is soon overcome. Superboy 2 is defeated when it blasts him with red sun rays. Cosmic Boy and Emerald Empress similarly fall, but survive. Princess Projecta's illusions have no effect, and she is almost consumed by the Nimbus, but she is rescued by Validus, who saves her despite his own injuries. Mano's hand has no effect on his segment, while Ferro Lad turns into iron to penetrate the heart of the creature and discover its core, the life force which controls it. It blasts him back, and he falls. As Terak watches the segments reform, he summons all to the ship to announce that he has built an absorbatron bomb to destroy the Sun Eater once and for all. Since the bomb has no propulsion system or timing device, Superboy volunteers to carry it into the Sun Eater despite his weakness from the red sun barrage. Ferro Lad suddenly changes into iron and punches Superboy and grabs the bomb. Flying through an airlock into space, he soars into the heart of the creature and sets off the bomb, completely destroying both the Sun Eater and himself. As the heartbroken Legionnaires prepare to depart, they are quickly captured by the Fatal 5 and put in chains. Terak then orders Validus to destroy the heroes. As he prepares to obey, Princess Projecta exhorts him to fight off Terak's influence. He slowly does, and as he flashes a bolt of mental lightning at the villains, the Crusader's axe counters it. The resulting impact causes the Fatal 5 to vanish in a blinding flash. The Legionnaires build a rocket memorial to Ferro Lad and program it to land on the cemetery satellite for heroes, Shangala. Okay, I told you it was longer. It's a lot goes on in the second comic. It's 23 pages of pure fun. Okay, the splash page. It's Sunboy. There's a center panel and then 2 side panels with heroes. Legion of Superhero down the left. Legion of Superboy. Superboy acting Legion leader. Cosmic Boy, Master of Magnetism, Princess Projecta, Creator of Illusion, Sunboy, Living Beacon of Heat and Light, Ferro Lad, who can turn to solid iron. On the right-hand side is the Fatal 5, Terak, half man, half robot, Mano, whose hand disintegrates anything, Emerald Empress, mistress of the mighty Emerald Eye, the Persuader, owner of an invincible act, and Validus, whose brain flashes lightning. And then the caption box is, can you imagine the FBI teaming up with the Mafia? Can you picture Uncle making a pact with Thrush? Pretty unlikely, yeah, huh? But no more unlikely than what's happening here. The Legion of Superhero forming an alliance with the Fatal Five. Their objective to destroy the monstrous Sun Eater, and that's about as easy as catching a tiger with a butterfly net. This time, all the superheroes can't possibly come out of the battle alive. One is fated to be the Doomed Legionnaire. And it starts with them planning. So, well, it starts with the Fatal Five fighting each other, in a little pissing contest, as heroes and villains will do when you put them together. But they all calm down. They're on his ship. The stuff with Mano is a kind of a lech, and she's not having it. But Princess Projector wants Superboy. She wants the biggest and the baddest because she's, the biggest and the baddest. The plan makes sense. So we have the whole thing, and then we have the plot device or the MacGuffin with them getting the power augment, and he's sneakily doing something on the slide, making Validus respond to him, and he's very proud of himself. Sunboy does his job, and that takes a page, and then there's a page. The first panel of part 2, which is called Slain by the Sun Eater, shows the Persuader cutting it up, and you see Validus go down in 3 panels. And Tarek's kind of monitored everything. Superboy goes down, next page. Chameleon Boy goes down, next page. They start dropping. Validus has, he comes to Projector's rescue, and that's cool because he is a misunderstood. And we're going to find out, there's going to be some retro continuity by Levitt Giffen about who Validus is, and I think it works, so whatever. That's just, I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but I really like that later. But that's for, years from now, before we get to those. Mano gets zapped, Ferro Lad gets burned, but he finds the bomb. He sees the heart, and then he sacrifices himself, and it's really good. He just hits Superboy quickly enough to distract him to pop open the airlock, and it throws him in there, and he blows it up, and they're gone. And then there's one last fight where the Fatal Five try to get away, and Projector, she tries to influence Validus, but he's not listening. And then the last 2 pages is all the other Legionnaires I said standing at attention and watching his rocket fly off. And that is the introduction of the Fatal Five and the death of Ferro Lad. See, in 2 issues in one story, 2 major plot points that are going to last forever. And next week we do the Adult Legion 2-parter. So I'm excited. It is, as I said, I've been gushing about it the whole time. It's a really solid, well-crafted comic book. It is near flawless. It is everything that is great about the Silver Age Legion, and I think it's some of the best Silver Age comics I've ever read. It's a simple story about kids. They're kids, teenagers fighting a big bad, but since it's written by a kid, I think it's less preachy, less talked down to the kids, and less, aren't we G. Willikers cutesy? They're still straight-laced kids, but they have adventure and there's action, and I think it's an amazing comic. It is on the app. I recommend you read it. Do it panel by panel because Swan's art is just absolutely stunning and amazing. So, folks, that's that for this week. This is my Legion adventure. This weekend will be Danger Street 3 and First Issue Special 3. I didn't do it last weekend because work was crazy, and I'm beat from Monday. It was a rough week at work. No excuses, but I'm recording today, and it's like almost my bedtime. I'm going to edit this and post it before I go to bed. And then next Tuesday will be our next Opal City Confidential, and we will cover Adventure Comics 64 and Starman Volume 2, Number 2. More Ted and Jack, so looking forward to that. But until then, be smart, be safe, be kind to one another, and read some Legion of Superhero comics. Come on, now, go do it.